Hi, and welcome back. So today, this video is going to be about the mods I made to my Commodore SX-64. We're going to go in depth. I'm going to show you all of the what I did and how I did it. We're going to open it up. It's going to be pretty interesting and in depth. So, but before we get started, thanks to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't, please consider clicking that subscribe button. It does help. Feel free to comment. I answer all the comments, share, like. So there you go. So let's get in and get a closer look at what we've done. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of switches mounted in my SX-64, and I have my SD2 IEC inside. So first off, I have to say big thank you to Bill Pelton on the SX-64 Facebook group. He made this plate. He 3D printed it for me with the cutouts. So awesome. Thank you, Bill Pelton. That was really, obviously you can see how great this looks. So what I've done is, we'll start over here away from that. So this is my SD2 IEC. It is wired, soldered in. And so I don't have to hook anything up. I'm going to open it and show you. This switch turns power for the SD2 IEC. You can see it's easily accessible. I can get my SD card in and out, no problem. It's just double-sided taped in and then wired. This turns it off. That would turn the SD2 IEC off. This turns it on. So over here, we've got several other switches. So this switch is in down position is for Jiffy DOS. Up is for the standard ROM, Commodore DOS. I'll put the little logo there. This switch is for this floppy. So as you know, if you have an SX-64, this is always drive 8. And the problem is a lot of software and games you want to run off the SD2 IEC require this to be drive 8, okay? So in this case, right now, this is always drive 9 because the switch is down. So this will always be drive 9. I don't have to do any commands, software changes. Once I boot up, I'm ready to use the SD2 IEC as long as it's powered on, and this is on 9. It's just automatic. I turn it on, I load what I want, I run. It's simple. If I needed to use this as 8, I just turn off the SD2 IEC, turn this to 8, boot it up. This is 8. This is disabled. I can run any floppy I need to do. Okay, so that's how that works. This one is for the speaker. So this right now the speaker is on. If I turn it off, it disables the internal speaker, so you could use the headphone. The headphone, it's a stereo jack, and this is a mono signal, but I wired it so if I plug in stereo headphones, I hear out of both ears. I'm going to show you that in a second, how I did that. So that's how I did it. These are the mods. We're going to open it and show you. But before we do, let me show you, kind of give you an idea of what I did for the switches and how I how I set them up. So I'm going to pause and turn the camera back around a second. Hold on. Okay, so for the rocker switches, these are the switches. I got them on eBay. I got a 5-pack. They were very inexpensive. But as you can see, they have two spade terminals, little flat terminals that you could solder to. But what I opted to do is I got these little, let me show you, these little flat connectors. So what I did was I put the wire in here, soldered it right there, and now I can unhook and hook the switches if I need to work on them. They all just unplug, which is really nice, okay? This made it way easier to wire, to get the wires to go through, the whole thing. For the headphone jack, I did not use those because as you can see, the little connection points are much smaller. Let me get myself out so it focuses on this. Much smaller, okay? So the way that it works is this tall one is the ground. So what I did is I went from the black speaker wire to this ground. Then I went from the red speaker wire and I made an extended bared piece and I soldered to both of these short posts. So that way the signal, the mono signal, goes to both ears, okay? Then for the speaker, the way I'll explain to you how I did the speaker. So that's how I did that. So the black wire is still attached to the speaker, but I added an extra to go to here. The red wire I removed from the speaker, extended it, and that went to here. So now the speaker had no red wire. Then what I did, I put an extra red wire on the speaker to this connector, and then I just made a jumper from the two red connection, the double red, to here. So that way the signal, the red signal, which is always in the headphone jack, will jump to the switch and then complete that connection and go down to the red terminal of the speaker when it's turned on and closed the circuit. So that's how I wired it. It was pretty easy to do. I'm going to open it up in a minute and we're going to show you the inside, how I got the wires into the storage bay, the whole thing. So hang on one second and stay tuned. Okay, so the way I got access to the storage area was on either side. I just took out one of these sections on either side for the wires to be able to go in, okay? And then I routed everything you can see out of the way, the cartridge slot, that way. So let's go from left to right. So the easiest thing, we'll save the SD2 IEC for last. So the easiest thing is Jiffy DOS. Jiffy DOS, all I did, it comes with a switch. I just removed the switch it came with, routed the wires in, and put it on those little spade connectors and connected that one up. So that one was easy, okay? The drive 8 and 9. So the way that I did that was, so back here, let's see, I don't know if we're going to see it. I'm going to try and get you a view in here without knocking my wires off. I don't know if I can, but, well, let's see. It's in here. It's very hard to see, but right in here, there's a place, if you Google it, you'll find it. I don't want to knock my wires off, but there's a trace that you cut that sets the drive automatically to 9. So then what I did was I soldered wires above and below the cut and ran them to a spade connectors. When it closes the switch, it acts as if I never cut the trace, and it changes it to drive 8. When I turn the switch off, it undoes the connection, so the trace is cut again, and then it's back to drive 9, which is where I leave it all the time. So that's how that works. For the speakers, what I did, I told you in here, you can see my two speaker wires here. Basically, I removed the I added a wire to the black. I left it on the speaker, and that goes to the ground long terminal of the headphone jack. Then I took the red wire off the speaker, extended it, and ran that to the other side of the headphone jack to both terminals. Then I just jumpered from the two terminals to one side of the speaker switch. Then I ran a wire from the physical speaker itself, where the red wire went, to the other side of the speaker switch to disable or enable the speaker. So that's how that works. It was very easy. As far as the SD2 IEC, so it had a connector for here, serial, and then it needed power, which was one wire in here. So I ran the power wire from this center spot right here. Okay, that's the power wire, that black wire, all the way in, and it goes into one end of the power switch. The other end of the power switch goes to where that pigtail came out originally. So that was that. As far as for this one, I removed the plug, and then underneath here, I'm going to try and point to this. Under here, see, this is the wire running in here. So under here were not these connections, because you can see I didn't add to it, but under here are, like, these are very tiny solder points, were very large, easy to solder points. And all you have to do is remove that screw, and that screw, and you can flip this board gently, because there's a lot of wires attached to it. You can flip it over, and I mean, it was super, super large solder points, very easy. The hardest part was when I undid the plug off of this wire, those wires were so fine and thin, I couldn't strip them, because all my strippers wouldn't strip such a fine wire. So that was my challenge. But I did get them stripped, obviously. And what I did, I used a continuity tester inside each spot here and to the solder pad underneath. And there was a pattern you can figure out as you go, but I checked. So I was like, pin 1 is this pad, pin 2, all the way through. The center hole is not used for the SD2 IEC. So, you know, that one I didn't use. But all the other ones I mapped out. I did the same thing. Well, I could see it on the back of the plug because when I took the shell of the plug, there was like a disc with the pins, but on the back you can see. So I made that, and I basically made a drawing of the layout of the solder pads underneath, and I wrote colors next to each one, and I just soldered them on, ran the wire, and that's it. And then and it works. So I'm going to give you a demo of everything. So let me put it back together, and we will come right back, and I'll show you how everything works. Okay, so let me show you my how this is working. So right now I have it on Jiffy DOS, and as you can see, we have Jiffy DOS. If I turn it off, change the switch here up to the standard, turn it back on again, we're back to SX-64 basic, as you can see in between the refresh rate. So let's go back to Jiffy DOS, turn it on. Okay, we've got Jiffy DOS. Now, at the moment, I have my SD2IEC on and my floppy set to 9. So right now, if I wanted to look at the SD2IEC, I don't have to do any commands. I just, whoops. Eight, right? Enter. It loads. I can list. And there's my SD2IEC. That's what's on my SD2IEC. Now, with the floppy, I have my demo disk in. So if I put this in and I say load quotes $ quotes 9, oh nope, comma 9, it loads the floppy. It knows it's 9. I didn't have to do any commands. I mean, I didn't have to change the number, and there's my demo disk, right? So that's how that loads up. Now, if I turn it off, turn this off, switch this to 8, boot it back up again. Okay, I didn't change Jiffy DOS, but now this is drive 8. So if I do load quote $ whoops, quotes, comma 8, right? So comma 8, let's wait till that rolling goes so you can see comma 8, and I hit enter. So now that's 8, and it loaded, and I can list. And that's what's on there. And now to show you the speaker, I will do this. So I'll load the Christmas demo off of the floppy. It loads. We'll run it. We're going to say run continuously because it doesn't really matter. So now the speaker, as you can see, is on. Okay, it's loading. So just going to give it a second so you can see how this works. And it's taking its time, even with Jiffy DOS. There it goes. Press any key to start. We're going to press any key. So now the music won't start until after the initial, but you can hear the snowfall wind sound, but we'll wait for the music. And I'm going to show you something here too once we get music, but you can hear it. So now, if I turn off the speaker, we have no more sound. If I turn it back on, we do. The headphone is always working, and the volume still controls the sound. It controls it for the headphone as well, the way I have it wired. So it works perfectly, as you can see. So that's how that all works. All my switches, everything you can see works. Let's turn that off. Put this back to 9, put this back on, so I'm ready to go, and then we're going to give you my wrap-up. So hang on one second. So I'm really glad I was able to get all of those mods done and get them working. I was a little nervous. The hardest thing for me to solder was where I cut the trace for drive 8-9. You had to solder right onto the trace on the board. That to me was the most difficult, getting that to stick. I had to actually remove the board. You have to scrape. It was difficult for me. I'm not a very proficient at soldering, which is why I was reluctant to really move so much in there. I think they're on pretty solid. I really gave them a yank, but I don't want to have to do that again. But it works great. You can see all the switches work. Again, huge, huge, huge thanks to Bill Pelton on the SX-64 Facebook group for 3D printing me that plate. Awesome. As you can see, it works great. It looks phenomenal. Everything is good and sturdy and clean and neat. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if it's something you would try. And yeah, hopefully you like it. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I have a lot more videos coming up, reviews for things for this Commodore, regular Commodore 64. I also do reviews of Lego sets, and I have a Tesla reviews and info. So please click that subscribe button, comment, and we'll see you next time.